Welcome to Easy Peasy Books, From Author to Authority, the lively and engaging podcast for business professionals who've always believed they have a book in them. I'm your host, Gillian Whitney. Join me as I chat with authors and industry experts from all around the world to explore simple strategies to write, publish, and leverage your business book. Whether you're an entrepreneur, executive, or an employee, this podcast is for you. And hello, everybody, and welcome back to another edition of the Easy Peasy Books podcast. And today I have a new friend in the house today, Joey Himelfarb, and we are going to be talking about his author's journey, speaking, ghostwriting, and a ton of other topics today. So before we get stuck in, Joey, can you please go ahead and tell people who you are and what you do, and then we'll start talking about your author's journey.
Sure. Thanks, Gillian. Hi, everybody. I'm Joey Himelfarb. I am an author, speaker, and a ghostwriter. I'm a true blue New Yorker, born and bred, born in Brooklyn, raised in Yonkers, went to school in Buffalo, if you're familiar with the geography. I live in New Jersey now, and I've been ghostwriting for a little while. But I wrote a book several years ago helping job seekers find their way in the marketplace, selling themselves, because I'm a retired salesperson, global account executive, and I've learned over the years that when you're looking for work, you're selling yourself. And other than your mom, there's nobody else better qualified than you to sell yourself. So I wrote a book about it. I mean, I've been making presentations about it, wrote a book about it. I'm writing a follow-up as we speak. And this has all led to me becoming a ghostwriter, because what I've learned is over the years as a global account executive and a salesperson, I ask a lot of questions of my clients. And I got to ask those questions because I can't read their mind. I got to know at least where are they, where were they, where are they, and where are they going? And so when I tell my sons about this, they go, "Dad, you're an interrogator." I said, no. When I'm with you, it's an interrogation. When I'm with them, it's a conversation. And it's just it's me pulling out of people their stories. And Gillian, everybody has a story, at least one. And I'm on a mission now to help people tell theirs and get it written, because I'm finding that a lot of people who have stories, and we all do, are too busy to write them. They don't want to write them, but they just don't know how to write them. Well, I can do all three, and I'm happy to do that, and I'm enjoying it, and it's a lot of fun. And for what it's worth, it's me having conversations and asking questions. It's great. It's just a great way to spend the day.
I love it. I love it. I love it. So your book is called Don't Paint Your Kitchen. And before we get stuck in, I've read your book. I loved your book. I enjoyed it so much. I know you explained the title towards the end of the book. So without spoiling it, how did you come up with that title? Because titles are so important with books.
They are. And what I've learned over the years and meeting with unemployed professionals and talking to them and sales 101. Listen, you're going to get rejected many, many more times than you'll be approved and accepted, right? So otherwise, if that wasn't the case, here's an 800 number, call in and buy whatever you need, right? So selling is, there's a science to selling, but there's also an art. But in that, there's a psychology of, I don't want to be rejected. I don't want to be turned off. I don't want to be turned against, right? So what I found is that, and I'm just as guilty. I'm just as guilty. We take the low road and don't put ourselves out there. So we don't do the things we're supposed to do. We don't act the way we're supposed to act. And we just huddle ourselves in our caves and we'll just be safe. Well, you can do that for a while, but if you stay in the cave long enough, you're going to starve. So you got to go out and do something. And so what I tell job seekers is that if you buy into this concept that selling yourself is looking for work and vice versa, you got to do what you got to do. Unless you're a painter, you shouldn't be painting your kitchen while you're looking for work, because it's a distraction. Granted, it's fun, maybe. I don't think painting a kitchen is fun, but it doesn't involve rejection. It doesn't involve writing letters. It doesn't involve doing research. It doesn't involve network. It doesn't involve doing anything that has to do with finding a job. Well, guess what? If you're going to paint your kitchen, your competition is looking for work, and they may be getting the job that you could be having had you not been painting your kitchen. So that's a long-winded answer to a short question, but yeah, you got to do what you got to do. Painting your kitchen is not part of what you have to do while you're looking for work.
I love that. So really the message is stay the course, and that's the same thing when you write a book. It's like I saw something the other day and a woman says that she goes, when I'm writing a book, she goes, I don't bother cleaning my house because I know I'm going to be cleaning my house when I'm not writing my book because that's our tendency. Sit down to write the book and it's like, oh, I really should do the laundry. And it's just like, no, it can wait. It can wait.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
so speaking of writing the book, how did you write your book? Because from the intro, you talk about making presentations, and so you have a positive mindset, and that's
Mhm.
really the book. And it's very interesting in that your book, it's a really upbeat and positive outlook of like how to if you're going to sell yourself you got to be positive and you got to put yourself in a good light. So how did you actually write your book?
So like I said, I was making these presentations to these networking groups in Central Jersey where I was at the time. And back in the day when I was doing these presentations, people would come up to me afterwards and they would say, "So where's your book?" So what book? Oh,
Mm.
everybody makes a presentation as a book. We also, and if you don't have a book, people sell their CDs and cassette tapes. Remember those? So,
Yes.
I mean, that's how long I've been doing this, Jillian, right? So I said, no, I don't do that. I don't have time. So, month after month after quarter, I mean, I kept doing these presentations. I kept people coming up and saying, "Joey, you got to write a book." And I just kept putting it off. And they said, "You have so much material here." So I finally bit the bullet. I found myself an editor. She helped me put it together. Now, here's the thing. By the time I got a hold of her and we had a connection, I already had, those accordion folders where you put stuff in? Like, well, right? I had post-it notes, notes. I had voice recordings on my phone. If you if you had seen what I was doing when I wrote my book, it was like those opening scenes in a detective story where their crime is committed. Now they got to solve it. They got all the pictures of all the suspects. They got maps. They got pieces of yarn, push pins. So that's what my book looked like. It was a hodgepodge of all the stuff. She helped me connect the dots, if you will, right? And get it into a good flow and ended up with what was created. Now, here's the thing. She gave me some great advice. You can't write for everybody. So who's your audience? So my audience was when I wrote the book, I imagined three people sitting at a table with me. I imagined somebody recently laid off, downsized, whatever the word you want to use, fired, uh, a freshly minted college graduate, or even a high school kid who's just looking for a job, and or somebody who's been out of work 10, 15 years, taking care of a sick child or an elderly parent, whatever the case may be. Somebody's out of work for 15 years. So I imagine those three people sitting at a table with me, and that's how I wrote the book. Fast forward, not only am I getting great response from it, and you said it yourself, people are saying, "Joey, this isn't just for job seekers. This is a guide to leading a positive minded life." And I heard that and I'm like, yeah, thank you very much. But again, had I written it with that thought process, like writing it for the world, nobody would have bought it because you can't write for everybody. You can't write for everybody. You got to have an
Absolutely.
audience. You got to have an
Absolutely.
audience. Right? So that's how I did it, and everybody who's read it, everybody who's reviewed it, has said almost the same exact thing. It's easy to read. I hear your voice. I feel like we're in the room. You're not condescending. You're providing a lot of information that really has something to do with looking for work. But you know what? It's just living life. And I'm like, yeah, okay, I'll take that.
Yeah, it's so good, and I always envision I agree with you, and I agree with your editor that it's like define your audience first because we cannot write for everybody. If we write for everybody, we write for nobody. And I always envision like a target, like I'm doing the bow and arrow at a round target, and you're aiming for the red dot, but everybody else on the target can still get value out of it. So I think that's what you've done. You've honed in on the job seekers. That's the red area. But anybody else who just needs a pick me up of like, "Oh, I need to look at life in a little bit more positive, because all of this would apply to business people who are running businesses because we have the same issues of the doldrums and, everything else you go into. So I think that's brilliant. I think that's brilliant. And
Yeah.
I love your metaphor of like just this police scenario with, the strings and the this, because like sometimes you look at it and you're just like, how is this ever going to be a book? But it's better to have too much content and then whittle it down because you could always turn into another book. It's like nothing's wasted.
Right. And now that I'm quote unquote an established author and a ghostwriter, I have a whole new perspective now on what you just talked about. And that if and I'm guilty of it, but not anymore. Right. We walk around, Gillian. We look, but we don't see.
Mm.
We listen, but we don't hear. And so now when I'm out and about, I am paying attention to the world around me, because everywhere I turn, there's some inspiration that I make a note to myself. I got to include this in my next book. I got to think about this when I talk to somebody. There's so much out there. There are rocks and trees and people and buildings I've walked by 1,000 times, never seen them. They're there. They've been there all this time. I just have never seen them because I haven't been looking. And so I'm in a whole new head now, because as a writer, as somebody who is trying to get a story out, here's the thing. As a ghostwriter, it's not me, it's you. It's your voice. It's your story. It's my words, but it's you. And so I got to remove myself from the equation in some respects and insert you into the book.
Right.
That's not easy to do. That's not easy to do. But man, the inspiration that I get from the world around me makes it easier. And it's
I
just
love that.
It's
I love
great. It's
that.
like every day is like it's a new day. It's great. It really is.
I love that. I love that. It's such a positive outlook on life, as opposed to, like, some people are like, they're in Groundhog Day mode. It's like every day you get up, it's the same thing. It's the same thing. And, I know you even talk about that in your book. It's like, well, maybe get up on the other side of the bed, cross your arms the other way. It's like, if you're on autopilot going through your life, you're wasting your life. You need to make a change. And, look at me. I live in so many different places. It's like, I never take one place for granted, because I know we're going to move on soon. So it's like, just enjoy the present. Enjoy the present.
Yeah.
So I have to ask you. So when you did your book, I look on the back of your book, and you have something that not a lot of self-published authors have. You have 2 amazing blurbs from pretty heavy duty people. So can you tell us the story of how you got that? Because it's not just like, oh, it's my buddy on LinkedIn. It's like heavy duty stuff.
Yeah, you're referring to Abby and Mike. Yeah. And this again, this goes back to the job seekers who are listening to this, right? Even if you're not a job, even if you breathe, listen to what I'm about to say to you, okay? Everybody knows 250 people you don't know. And those 250 know an additional 250. So right out of the gate, there are 500 potential possible connections at your fingertips. Here's what happens, though. I hear people say to me, I hear job seekers say, Joey, I sent 137 resumes last week and applications. I haven't heard from anybody. Well, I know why. You wrote to people you don't know, and they don't know you. And it's not even people that are looking at your applications or resumes. If they're even looking, it's a machine that's taking 3.5 seconds maybe to clean through. I met Abby and I met Mike through networking groups. I didn't know them, but I knew somebody who knew them. Now, the first day I met them, they didn't give me a blurb for my book. A book wasn't even in my world, right? But over time, I developed relationships with these 2 people, and I never hawked them. I never hounded them. We were, and I can't speak for them, but I'm sure they would say the same thing. We're servants. We have a servant mentality. It's not about us. It's about them. It's about everybody else, right? So we're out to help the world. I'm out to plant seeds that are positive, right? Because I don't know what seeds are going to take root, Gillian. I have no idea. So I'm just going to plant them. I'm going to plant good ones. I'm going to do my best to plant the good seeds. And so over time, I planted a lot of seeds with a large network. Abby and Mike are 2 of those people in that network, in my network, who were happy to put that blurb on the back of my book, because again, I never asked them for it until the time I asked them for it. But until that time, we were servants of the planet and trying to help people and make them be better. And this is what I would say. I'm going to help you get from where you are to where you want to be. If we can do it in one fell swoop, that's great. If it's going to take a little bit longer, that's okay too. If I can't help you, I may know somebody who can. I mean, this is not rocket science. It's not, just because I don't know. Just be nice to people. Be kind. Help each other.
Exactly. Exactly. So I'm gonna say their names just so that we get this out there. So,
Okay.
okay, you might need to do Mike because I might mess up his last name.
All right. So it's Abby Cohut
Okay.
and Mike McAllowitz,
Okay. Yeah, I would have totally messed
and
that
that's
up.
okay. So in their circles, Abby and Mike are well known.
Yes.
They're
Yes.
very well known. And I'm proud to know that they know me and that they were willing to attach their names and reputations to my book. That I don't take that lightly at
No.
all.
No.
And it's important to me. It's important to them. And I mean, it's beautiful.
I love
Was,
it.
I was happy to ask them, and I was grateful that they said yes. So yeah.
That's wonderful. And it's I think that's an inspiration for self-published authors because I think a lot of times you think, well, you can only do that if you're through like the big 5 publishing companies. I have to be with Penguin or Random House. But it's like, no, you really just think about who you know. And I think this is always a good thing because it's like maybe, if you don't ask, the answer is always no. So sometimes we do have to think about, well, who do I know or who do I know that knows somebody that I know? Because that's the beauty of networking is you are, what is that 6 degrees of separation? It's probably really like 2 or 3. It's not
Yeah.
as big to get to the people that you want to know as you think. So I think that's
Right.
good. I think that's good.
And I moderate a group. I run my own network. In fact, you were a guest several weeks
Yes.
ago on this group. It's a virtual group. It was originally created for job seekers, but now it's evolving into again anybody who can breathe. But what I say to people is that um, there are if you go back into your work history and you identify everybody you've worked for, I bet you 99% of those people you did not know had it not been for somebody making an introduction.
Mm,
And this is my work history. I look back at the people I work for, almost everybody I've worked for, I was introduced to somebody who knew them. I
mm,
didn't know any of these managers before I met them. I didn't know who they were, what they did, where they lived, anything about them. But Billy told me about Tommy, and I got an interview with Susie, and boom. So what happens is, I think, is that job seekers get so frazzled that they can't find work. Is that the far you're looking at your gold mine is sitting right in front of you, but you're
mm.
so busy looking in every direction, but in front of you, and it's literally in front of your face. There are people in your life who can help you, who want to help you. And what I say to people is, go back to when you were in grade school.
Mm.
Find the people you haven't spoken to in, depending how old you are, 50 years. They're out there. You haven't spoken to them, you lost touch. I know they love to hear from you. You reach out to these people, Gillian, I guarantee you, and I did this already. I know it. I can speak from I speak from the first 2 hours, it's just going to be reminiscing,
Mm.
talking about everyone and everything that you did when you were in grade school or high school or middle school, right? Eventually, the conversation is going to turn to your life and your kids and your wife and your husband or whatever, right? But eventually, it's going to be, so what are you doing now? Oh, funny you should ask. Well, don't you think this person from your life from 10,000 years ago is going to almost bend over backwards and make introductions on your behalf? And now you're going to skip ahead. That's like in Disney, right? What do they call it? The fast pass. You're going to
Right.
skip the line, right? You're going to skip the line because Tommy knows you or Susie knows you, and they're going to say, "Hey, Bill, don't forget that stack of resumes. You want to talk to Gillian? She's your gal, right?
Yep.
Now
Yep.
it's yours to lose, Gillian. It's yours to lose, right? You still got to earn. You still got to earn your keep. But my God, you've been given an opportunity. This. It's not magic. It's not
Right.
rocket science. But
Right.
I think what happens is people just they get frazzled, for lack of a better word, and they stop thinking about what they have available to them, and they think it's something else, and it's not. It's not that earth shattering.
That's brilliant, and I agree with you, and especially now that we're in this age of AI, you have to kind of do the opposite. It's like lean into the humans, lean into talking with people because that's and it's a win-win. You can help, they can help, and 1 + 1 = 3 when it comes to people. So I think that's so
Absolutely.
good. That's so good.
In fact,
So
I just had a conversation with a sales representative, customer service from a credit card company. I was trying to put one of my credit cards into my mobile wallet. It wasn't working, so I called them. She had trouble understanding the number that I was giving to her. And at one point I said to her, when she finally got it right, I said, "Oh, now I know you're not a machine." And I said it jokingly, but you know what? In 2026, this is our new world, right? It's
Mhm.
possible when you do stuff like this, you're not talking to a human being, you're talking to a machine. It's
That's
a little
true.
unnerving.
That's
It's a
true.
little unnerving. I'm
That's
sorry, I
true.
interrupted you. I'm sorry.
So I wanted to ask you, you have this, like, huge sales background, and so you're very good. You talk about, in your book, looking for a job, you're selling yourself. We're always selling ourselves. Everybody's in sales. We don't realize it, but we're always selling ourselves. So bringing it back to books, this is the hardest part for authors. We write these books, we're done, and we think they're gonna sell themselves, and they're not. We have to get out there and be their, like, little foot soldiers in the world. So, was this easy for you because of your sales background? And what tips would you share with people that are like, "Ooh, sales, yuck."
That's a great question. I have not done a you know how the cobbler's kids don't have shoes? I have not done a good job. I have not done a great job of promoting and pushing and selling this book. So shame on me. But having said that, that wasn't my intent. My intent was not to be a bestseller. My intent was to get the word out. And and a lot of the purchases of my book are because somebody knew somebody who said, "I read Joey's book. Go get it.
Mm,
I don't want to lend you mine. I want you go get your own." Right. And
nice.
so that's helping me sell the book. I have not done a great job of marketing it, Gillian. I'll be the first to admit it. Right. But again, that wasn't my motivation my motivation was to get it out of my chest, off the board, right, if you will, right, all the all the push pins, what have you, and get it in a cohesive um, manuscript, if you will, that people can use it. And I hope and I think it's I think 25 years from now, a lot of the material in that book will still be valid.
Oh, it's evergreen. It's I will tell you, I will not take that. I will not take that. I will take that bet because it's true. This is evergreen. I wouldn't know if you wrote it 10 years ago or 10 minutes ago. I can't tell.
Right. And for what it's worth, I will defer to all the other giants before me who said almost the same things that I regurgitated on their behalf, right? And the fact of the matter is, whatever they taught me, somebody else taught them. So,
Yep.
there's nothing new out there. It's all been out there. It's all been rehashed, returned, reworded, reframed, whatever, right? So it's I what I wrote is not gospel, and what I wrote is not Pulitzer Prize worthy. But if you're looking for work or you need a shot in the arm, I want to say I'm going to leave it a shot in the arm. I'll leave it there, right? Okay. If that's what you're looking for, then I hope my book does that for you. And if it does, I'm going to pat myself on the back and say, "Good job, Joey." But I'm not going to go out there and be Ron Popeil. I'm not gonna push my book on everyone and like Well, wait, there's more. Right? I'm not.
Right.
I can't do that, and I don't do that because I don't like when it's done to me. So
Okay.
if it's not,
Okay.
I don't like.
That's
Right? It's the golden rule, right? If
that's
I
good.
don't like it, I'm not going to do it. And so,
Okay. So what about
but
folding? What about like you said, you speak. You
mhm,
like you're a speaker. Are you
right.
using your book in conjunction with your speaking gigs? Do they is the book helping you? Are you using it, or is it totally a different thing?
Well, absolutely. It's definitely helping me. It's, people are busy. They don't have time to read a book. Okay, I got that. But they have time to come to a presentation that highlights the key features of a book.
Mm.
So I effectively end up talking about the book. My presentations encompass what the book is in, what's in the book, and then people come up to me and guess what? They buy my book. So, so it's full circle, right? So, so all those people back then who said, "Where's your book?" I would like to invite them back and say, "Here it is," And so people come up and they buy my book. Do they buy it in droves? No, Gillian, they don't. And I'm not, I tell it like it is. People come up, they buy it. Some people scoff at it. I'm like, it's okay. You don't have to buy it. I'm not pressuring you, but I'm just saying to use this. You buy this book. 15 years from now, you pull it off the shelf. To your point, it's still going to be valid. All right. The cup of coffee you buy today, you ain't going to have for 15 years. It's not going to work.
Yeah.
It's not going to sit on your shelf. Right. So anyway.
Well, and I truly believe that our books, especially when it's a business book, which is what yours is, business books really help build our authority and our credibility. And that's your thought leadership in a nice little package that somebody can hop on an airplane with, and they can get to know you and your stories and the know, the like, the trust. Everything comes from a book. And so in my opinion, the goal is not to, I'm writing a book so I can, make $1 million in royalties and a documentary. And most of us aren't doing that. It's really just encapsulating our thought, our expertise and our authority, which to me leads into speaking, and speaking leads into the book. And like you said, it's a circle, circle, circle. It goes round and round. And, I love in your book that you have chapter. And I tell people this. Be very, very careful what you name your chapters, because your chapters they can jump off the page. It helps people skim, but also too, if you want to get speaking gigs, if you're looking at this and you're like, here's a section called SpongeBob SquarePants. It's just like, it's know your SATs with a different twist of what SATs mean to you. So having these section titles and chapter names that are like out of the box, a little bit different, I think you did a really good job with that, because to me, that lends well to speaking events and gigs.
Thank you, Gillian. I appreciate it. That's great feedback. I didn't, I'm in the forest. I can't see the trees. That's feedback I've never heard before. So I appreciate that. Thank you very much. Thought went into that book. Thought went into those chapter titles. Thought went into what I put down on paper, because and you know this, right? How many books have you read? It's like, what are they trying to say? Right. So I was I'm from New York. I cut right to the chase. Right. I tell it to me like it is. I'll tell it to you like it is. Let's work on this. If we agree on it, that's great. If we don't, we'll agree to disagree. But at least we know what we're dealing with. And so that's great feedback. Thank you. I really appreciate that. That means a lot to me, because I try to look at things lightheartedly as much as I possibly can. I know not everything can take that treatment, and I understand that. But for the most part, I try to be positive and upbeat and have a sense of humor, to a fault sometimes. But
right.
Given the alternative, Gillian, I'd rather laugh at something than cry. Not that crying is bad, don't get me wrong, but I don't want to walk around with my tail between my legs and my chin on my chest, worrying and moping and complaining and being Chicken Little. The sky is falling. You know what? I used to have on my LinkedIn profile banner, Annie was right. The sun will come out tomorrow. That used to be my banner. and somebody said, Joey, that's great, but that tells me nothing about what you do and who you are. I said, well, it tells you who I am, but you're right. It doesn't tell you what I do. So I changed it. But for a while, that's what I was like, yeah, you know what? As bad as things are today, tomorrow we start at square zero and we get a fresh start. And so you can lament over what happened yesterday, but guess what? That's going to serve you no function. So my mantra is positive beats negative every day. And,
absolutely. I heard something the other day, and it really resonated for me. And they said, you want to see what hope is, and that people still believe in hope. Every night when you go to bed, you set the alarm for tomorrow. It's like you're just saying, okay, you know what? Life may not be great, but I'd still like to wake up tomorrow. So I'm setting the alarm. And that to me, it's like every day it's a blank canvas. We can start again. We can, and I truly, I just did a podcast episode about it's never too late, because people worry that it's like, I've missed the boat. We haven't missed the boat with anything in life, people. We have not missed the boat. It's still there. It's still docked. You can run and catch and jump onto the boat. It's
and I will tell you that, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 years ago, had you asked me, will you be here on May 21st, 2026, having this conversation with Gillian, I would have said, what? Who? Why? About what? Yeah, it makes perfect sense to me, Gillian, that you and I are here today. If I go back into my life and I connect the dots, I'm where I'm supposed to be. So you're
I
right.
love that. I love that.
It is what it is, right? I go with the flow, as they say, right? Go with the flow.
So future forward,
Yeah.
what's book number 2? Because you said once you opened that up, you said
Yeah.
one's in process. What's book number 2 for you, Joey?
Book number 2, it's a follow-up to book number 1, to Don't Paint Your Kitchen. It's gonna be a little bit more cerebral. It's a collection of stories that I've been collecting from job seekers, hearing where they are in their search, in their quest, because looking for work is a quest. And so I'm trying to get people to understand that I'm still torn. I'm going to ask you this. Let's do this live, okay? In the book, in the beginning and at the end, I say something to this effect. Now, let me back up. Here's my disclaimer. I'm from New York, right? So I have many more opinions than I have filters. I think you may have heard me say that, right? So and I'm getting better at it, but it used to be that I would say something, and just as I said it, I shouldn't have said that to that person in this moment, right? But I'm getting better at it because I realize nobody wants my opinion. I used to think if you wanted my opinion, I'd give it to you, but that's not a good life to lead, right? So I'm getting better at it. But my point is this. So in the book, at the beginning and at the end, I've got these 2 phrases. And in the beginning, I say something like, look, Mr. and Mrs. Job Seeker, you're unique, but you're not special. Because what's happening to you happens to a lot of other people. Then at the end of the book, I want to say something like, look, Mr. and Mrs. Job Seeker, you're special, but you're not unique, because what's happening to you happens to a lot of other people. I said that to one person, and they were aghast. They were like, how dare you say I'm neither special nor unique? And I was like, that's not my intent. My intent is to make you understand that we're all in this together. And you're not the only one that's unemployed. And you'll never be the only one that's unemployed. So you can't walk around saying, woe is me. Nobody cares. They don't care. They don't care about you. All the hiring managers care about is, what can you do for me tomorrow? What you did over there yesterday. That's all they care about. They don't care how many bills you have, how many children you own, how many husbands and wives you've gotten rid of. They don't care about any of that stuff, right? Now they do care. Did you embezzle funds, or did you hurt anybody? Right. At your last job, right? That they want to know, right? But other than that, what can you do for me? So if you're going to walk around and mope and complain, here's what I say to people. If you're gonna complain about stuff that you mostly can't control, like the weather, the traffic, the marketplace, the politicians, these are things you can't control. You can complain about them all you want. If you complain, but you don't offer me an alternative to that problem, that issue, you're just a whiner. Now, if you're going to whine and you're 3 years old, I'll give you a pass. But if you're 33 and you're interviewing for a position in my company, right, you've made it so easy for me to not even consider you. I'll listen to you for the next 45 minutes. I'll be courteous, but you're not on my list. And I'm like, if you're a job seeker, why would you? You got to be upbeat and positive. I say to people, act as if the job is yours. Because if you act as if, then everything changes. You do your homework, you do your research, you do your role plays, you act as if. And if you act as if, your body changes, your dynamic changes, you change. And when you're in front of that hiring manager, they can't be anything but like, when can you start? Right. That's what you want to do. That's what you want these people to think. It's like, and I say it in the book, under what rock have you been hiding, Gillian? Why is it taking us so long to meet each other, right? When can you start? This is what as I instruct job seekers, visualize that conversation in the interview. And people go, well, why would they do that? Why would they do that, Joey? Why would you not?
Yeah, why shouldn't they? Why shouldn't they?
Why you do? Are you practicing your interviewing skills? Is that what you're doing? No, you want this job. So you gotta assume That's what I say. Assume halfway through the interview, they're going to stop the conversation, pick up their phone, call their admin, and say, stop the presses, cancel everybody else who's scheduled to come in later today and tomorrow. Our knight in shining armor is sitting across the table from us. Gillian is our knight in shining armor. She's starting for us tomorrow. I'm not even giving her a chance. She's coming in. We need her right away. And so I tell people to think this and visualize this, because if you do, you change. You no longer will bitch and moan about all the things you can't control. You'll come in with guns blazing. You're like, I can do for you because this is what I did over there, and I can't wait to start. And we're gonna change you got to be pumped so that they're pumped, so that they don't want to talk to anybody else. That's, again, not rocket science, but here's the thing. I can't make you do that, Gillian. You got to bring that. You got to bring that. And that's the whole thing. Being unique and being special, guess what? In the whole scheme of things, there's 8 billion people on the planet. Now, yes, we're all unique. We're all special. We're all different. I got that. But in some respects, you look at the 500 applications for this job, who stands out? The person who knew somebody.
Yep.
Who said, look at this person.
I love it.
Yeah.
Well, that's great. That's great. Well, Joey, we have come to our time together, come to the end of our time together. And this was awesome. I think I could talk to you for hours, just really, it was wonderful. So thank you very much for coming and sharing your story today, your author story, your journey, and everything in between. And everybody who's listening today, thank you for tuning in to another edition of the Easy Peasy podcast. And we hope to see you back here next time. Okay. Bye, everybody.
Thanks, Gillian. Take care.
Thank you for tuning in to this edition of Easy Peasy Books, from author to authority. If you found value in today's episode, I'd be grateful if you could leave us a review. It helps other aspiring authors discover our podcast. To learn more about writing, publishing, and leveraging your business book, visit my website at easypeasybooks.com.